I'm going to give myself a hard limit of only 1 hour to mix a punk song, and more than that, I'm going to try and absolutely crush my old mix of this song from over 15 years ago. So to make this completely fair, everything is loaded up as it would be, if I was just sent this song. So everything is at 0 here. There's been no panning or anything like that. All I've done is put everything out my mix bus. So let's start. I'm gonna start the timer on my phone. Boom. All right, I'll let you hear a little bit of my original mix. And if you hear my tracks now, you can tell I've done absolutely nothing. My first step was just to name all the tracks properly and then import my mixing template. Now the template takes care of all my buses, routing, and inserts my typical plugin chains for each track. It even sets the rough balance and panning and gives me all of my effect sends and returns all ready to go. And this shaves off a ton of time and instantly moves the mix forward. Here's what it sounds like after the template. Now I can't, again, go through everything that's in the mix template. If you're interested in really getting full top to bottom look at everything that goes into my decisions and my template, or if you want a copy of my template, that's all inside my full program. All right, let's go. So I'm gonna start on drums. I always start with the drums to try and get a solid foundation for the mix. This mostly consists of EQ, compression, and some saturation on the individual drum tracks. Here's the room sound. Not that good. The mid-range on the snare is okay. Okay, let's bring in some parallel compression. That's not bad, actually. All right, let's bring in everything else, get a sense of where we're at here. I definitely didn't have it all figured out when I recorded this 15 years ago, but I do think we captured an authentic punk vibe, and it's full of catchy riffs and hooks and energy. The main weakness is the drums. He just didn't hit consistently enough, so I definitely needed to bring in some samples to help. I settled quick as I could on some of my own personal kick and snare samples, which I've used for many years and are also available only for members of my full program. Now, after printing down these samples, committing to them, I was already almost 1/3 into my time limit, and I had only worked on the drums. All right, we've got a bass DI and a bass amp. I remember recording the bass for this. The bass player really wanted to be in the room with the big bass cabs, so I took a DI, I did mic it. Which has a cool tone, but it's very unsteady in the low mids. Certain notes really like boom out. Let's hear the DI. think I might just go with the DI only and try to match the bass tone that we had. I think a really grindy, prominent bass really works in this kind of song. I remember the guitars too. I mean, this was such a punk session, like really, really old modded amps, JMPs, different old Marshalls, really small kind of clean amps that were boosted and overdriven as well. And really just big, full performances, like not a lot of, punching and making things super clean. Like pretty much all the lines here, the punch-ins, the edits, I didn't really consolidate all this. So that's kind of how the takes were done. And you can hear that they're human, right? This is punk. We don't want it to be too perfect. I think the tone's actually pretty great. Cut a bit of low ends. And these two sides are linked together, even though I think they are different guitars and amps. For the sake of time, I just got to treat them as a group here. Could they be brighter? Definitely some compression. I hope you're noticing how fast the template makes me, right? Everything was lined up here. You can see I have to insert a lot of plugins manually. They're already in the chain, either just there with very minimal settings, kind of in my go-to areas, or they're like the guitars here. The chain is all there. It's just things are bypassed on whether I need them or not. All right, so this lead guitar definitely needs some work here. See if we can get rid of some nastiness up there. All right, let's juice the drums a little more. Exactly halfway into the mix, I'm now fine-tuning the drums, the drum bus, and the parallel compression bus, and I have the bass and main guitars in a decent spot. All right, we're getting into the vocal here. I love this singer's voice.
So we wait, and it's time for the conversation, and we talked about it. She's still coming down a long spin.
So believe it or not, this vocal was actually recorded with a 421. And I remember he had like, again, it was so punk, right? He had it on the stand, but it was like, you know, a foot above his head, but it was angled down. So he was like singing to it like he would at a live show. It was absolutely awesome. Great, gritty voice. There's definitely no tuning or anything on this. All right, let's get some de-essing happening here. Let's see if we can grit up his voice here a bit. Awesome. All right, we definitely need a little bit of stereo delay here.
We never felt we belonged, so almost can't get too long. Okay, downtown. But didn't walk to the upside down. I'm still waiting on that street where we made our lives.
Okay, let's see where I'm at compared to my original mix. Let's get the volume up. All right, it's sounding pretty good. Let's get some reverb happening on the drums real quick. So same thing with my plugin chains. I've got my effects sends already loaded up with the plugins ready to go here. So let's put my snare plate on. Sounds fine. Cool, I don't think I'm gonna throw any gated verb on that. The only thing I might try here, I'm kind of risking it because of the tight timing here, but let's see if we can get some room happening on the drums. Realistic drum room. Like that one better. Probably need to get rid of the rumble. I don't want it to sound fake. Maybe if I warm it up a bit. Some tape head. This is one of those things that in a normal mix situation, I probably would like try some different reverbs, mess with it a little more, but I don't know, I haven't even got to gang vocals yet. I haven't done any automation, and I've got 20 minutes left in this mix. Okay, I think this is a good time to just stop and check references really quick, make sure my ears are still calibrated in the right direction. Okay, drums need something. Let's pull up an EQ. They're a little boxy. So we wait, and it's time for the vibe of the station, and we talked about it. She's still coming down our long spin. Feels like we were kids, it feels like we were home. Feels like we turned out alright. But you don't want to upside down. I'm still waiting on that street where we made our lives. You don't think things that were wrong. We never found we belong. So much can't. I also needed to check my low end at this point, since I can't hear any sub frequencies on my CLA 10s. My process for this is to check my reference tracks, focusing on just that low end, and make sure my mix is in the same ballpark. In this case, I thought my kick had too much sub and my bass needed a little more. It feels like we were home. Feels like we turned out alright. Okay, I might actually do this. All we got left is gang vocals, and we'll see if I can do some automation. So I definitely want to create a new bus for these gangs here. Though these gang vocals also were memorable. I think we had probably close to 10 people in the studio, and this was a small room. It was like, 200 square feet probably, and 10 people in the room. And I think because I didn't have enough headphones, I had maybe 4 pairs of headphones. There's no way everyone could hear it. We just set up like a PA monitor along the one wall. So the PA was pointing this way, and then the mics were, this way as well. And the crowd was just here. We had them, I think I had 2 mics actually. I think that's why it's a stereo track. There's 2 mics. They're separated into the left and right side of the room. And we just had these 2 groups just going at it. So they're very loose. They're very sloppy gang vocals. But again, for this kind of band, this kind of song, it works perfectly. Let's check them out. Let's throw on a compressor first. Need a little more high end and mid range to help it cut through. Okay, I might need a little more of a reverb tail on those. Let's throw up a long plate. I just want to hear a little more on the tail end. I was starting to get down to the wire here. I made some final adjustments to add more grind to the bass, and I dialed in the verse lead guitar that I hadn't touched yet. So normally I would automate the drums first, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to be able to do all the automation I normally would on a mix. I think the most important thing is going to be the guitars here. I'm actually going to have the left-right guitars up a little louder in the intro. Yeah, that's better. And then when the lead comes in on the right there, I'm going to turn down the right rhythm. I had to go as quickly as possible through these guitars, just balancing them so that when there were 1 or 2 lead tracks coming in, the rhythms came down to make space. Okay, I've left myself 2 minutes to automate the vocals. Man, that's a mistake. Okay, let's just try.
So we wait, and it's time for the five of the station. So we wait, and it's time for the five of the station. And we talked about it. She's still coming down our lungs.
Okay, I think that's fine for the verse.
But they don't want to the side down. I'm still waiting on.
More gangs here in this chorus.
To the side down. I'm still waiting on. Let's see where we made our lives. You don't think we said we're wrong. We never found we belong. Some and our hands shakes again. Our faces they look smart. But they don't want to the side down. I'm still waiting. How long wait?
Let's try to emphasize that gang line right there. So I'll just throw less lead vocal, more gangs right there. Oh, I don't have time to be looking for tracks. There it is.
How long wait? We waited. I'll tell you letters in the mail. We carried on. Still waiting on that street. Still waiting on that road. Still waiting on that street.
30 seconds. This is the end.
I'm heading home. I see the lights, I see the lights, I'm heading home. I see the lights, I see the lights, I'm heading home. I'm going home.
Oh, man. All right, my last move. I'm just going to ride up those last snare hits. Ah, it's too much. Whatever. Okay, the mix is done. Let's just do a quick A/B of my original mix versus this one. So let's check out the intro, original mix. New one. I'll make it a bit quieter just to be more fair. Let's go verse.
So we wait, and it's time for the five of the station, and we talked about it. She's still coming down our lungs. Feels like we were kids. It feels like
Oh man, I think it's way better. Go to the ending. You know, comparing the old mix with the new one, the old one, it sounds like the demo version of the song, right? And the mixed one, or at least this 1 hour mix, sounds, you know, a lot more radio ready, for lack of a better term, which is kind of exactly what you want out of a mix. All right, so I just listened to the mix on my AirPods, which is kind of like the new car test for me. And overall, I'm gonna say it's 80% there. It's 80% there. If I had a little more time, I would have caught some of the mistakes that I'm hearing. Biggest thing that stood out to me when I threw those on, the sub was a little bit too much, a little bit too crazy, especially on the kick drum. I think there's too much sub for this kind of song. It's too much fast kick to have that. And also the bass, you know, I remember referencing and thinking, oh, I need a lot more low end. It sounded good in the moment. I think there's a little too much sub on the bass as well. Just overall, that could have been controlled a little better for sure. More time referencing is really the solution to that problem. I only spent, you know, a minute working on those frequencies. So definitely those need some work. And then I thought the vocals too, when the vocals first come in, they sound a little bit mid-rangey, a little bit, not harsh, but just a little bit too focused in those upper mids compared to the rest of the material. So, you know, the vocals could be a bit warmer. That's what I heard on referencing this. So those are problems I would have been able to catch, right? Especially if I would have done the AirPod test and, you know, a car test. at some point through this mix as I would normally do, I probably wouldn't have ended up with those problems. So there's definitely some shortcomings here because of the time limit, but it did force me to just focus on what's really important, especially in the automation stage. I really like to get detailed in automation. I like to ride every fader. I like to really have my hands on everything. I don't like to draw it with a mouse. I want to listen to sections in context as I'm automating and making those decisions. I just didn't have time to do that. So where normally I would have automated a lot more on the drums, especially, I pretty much did no automation on the drums, but they were pretty solid. And I knew that the guitars needed more work just with the layers coming in and out to make sure that was balanced. Again, I wish I had another, 25 minutes to really dial that in, but it is what it is. Still, overall, I'm not disappointed in the mix. Again, I think it's 80% there, and that really shows you a lot. I think sometimes we can spend too long on a mix. Over the years, I've definitely shortened it. At this point, it takes me, somewhere between 4 to 8 hours, let's say 6 on average on a fresh mix, start to finish. So cutting it down to 1 hour is very significant, but it does keep things moving quickly. It allows me to commit a lot faster to things. Definitely drum samples. That's something where easily you can burn 20 minutes just auditioning different kick samples and snare samples. I couldn't do that here. So with the snare, I picked the first sample I heard because it sounded fine. Same with the kick drum. And we could all stand to put a little bit of that mentality and commitment and boldness into our regular mixes. So if you're someone who's struggling to finish mixes quickly, or you second guess yourself a lot, maybe do a challenge like this. Give yourself 1 or 2 hours, set a hard limit, see where you get to, and really try. Don't just do your regular thing up until 2 hours, really try to get through it all and finish it, and do what I did here, where I know that, okay, normally I'm going to spend 30 more minutes on this, but I can't, it's done. Moving on to the next thing. Try that yourself. And then going forward, learn from that. Definitely don't set yourself a 1 or 2 hour time limit for every mix. You need more time than that to really dial it in, but try to be quick, try to be bold with your decisions. Now, I know a small number of you might be watching this thinking, man, I wish I could see more detail of what he's doing there. I couldn't explain everything, but if you're someone who really wants to go deep into the details of this and see exactly what I was doing here, why I was doing it, why my template is set up the way it is, what's in there. If you want to try that template for yourself, have these drum samples for yourself, get professional ears on your mix so you can progress faster. Well, that's exactly what we do inside my full training program called the Pro Production System. There's a link in the description below if you want to learn more about that. But let me know what you thought of this experiment here, how you heard the mixes, what you thought about the A/B between the original and my new one. And if there's one thing that stood out to you from this entire video, definitely drop a comment below and let me know what your biggest takeaway was. And one last thing, part of what allows me to make decisions quickly and mix this quickly to at least get it to 80% is having good habits. And that's something that all pro mixers have in common. So if you want to check out my 13 habits of pro mixers, check out this video right here, and I'll see you next time.